Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wake Up Report. And Hood Rat Ratchet Ass Ghetto Queen of the Year award goes to Carla Lee, Tyshawn Lee's mama. Carla Lee, the mother of slain 9-year-old Tyshawn Lee. And as we know, a very unfortunate series of events occurred. Mr. Lee was lured into an alley where he was executed, murdered by a gang member or gang members in retaliation for his father's involvement in gang activity. And apparently the GoFundMe people and the people who participate and contribute to that website, GoFundMe was started in the name of Tyshawn, and the community came out in support for this young man. Some $17,000 plus were raised, well over the $10,000 that I guess was requested to cover the cost of this young man's funeral. And what does his mother do with the money? This little hood rat heifer goes out and buys a new car. Now, of course, the people who donated to this fund were absolutely just enraged at this. And I mean, who wouldn't be? A lot of them demanded their money back, and Miss Lee, in predictable hood rat ghetto fashion, responded to the criticisms of her vehicle purchase with now there was a series of videos, and unfortunately she took the videos down before I get a hold of one of them, because I damn sure would have posted that. But her response to the criticism was, and I'll just read it as it was said on the video: "If a motherfucker telling you they gonna try to take your life too, because of whatever the fuck is going on, like they already took my son, I work, I get on the bus, I'm not trying to be a target for nobody. All this time you've been walking to work and ain't nobody shot you. All this time you've been riding the bus and ain't nobody shot you. All right, I got this shit for my protection. Never mind a gun, you got a car. I'm pretty sure that's something my son would have wanted me to do." Miss Lee said in another video, "You know what I'm pretty sure your son may have wanted you to do, and his father, was to walk him back and forth from his house to his grandmother's house. Instead of having a 9-year-old child out there walking the streets by himself, maybe his parents out there would have prevented him from getting killed." Now, the people who donated were very generous. One person donating as much as $100 to the fund, but demanded their money back. And I mean, I got to give it to Miss Lee. Miss Lee's grief and her just absolute, just the sorrow and the grief for losing this child. And it was just so much that, she had to go out and not just buy a car, but a 2015 automobile. So, your son's body isn't even cold. And you went to the dealers with that money and bought a 2015 automobile. Now, let's kind of do a little bit of estimating here. The fund was for $10,000. The fund netted you over $17,000. You take that $17,000, of which it seems maybe $7 of it you spent on your child's funeral, but you took it to a dealer and you bought a $15,000 car. All right, which roughly leaves you a little over $2,000. And I guess you really had this, depending on the car that you bought, you really had this figured out. All I got to do is spend about $1,000 or so. I mean, the casket really ain't that big. He wasn't that tall, so I ain't got to spend too much money. I mean, you can't even buy a used car. I don't think people would be as upset if you bought a used car, but you go out and buy a brand new car. Now, you're a bigger target than ever because you're tooling around town in a brand new car in a ratty ass neighborhood. So you basically strapped a beacon on your head, turn the light on, and it's flashing going around, say, "Look, here I am, come and kill me in my brand new car." Black people like to make history in the worst, the absolute worst of ways. I mean, this has got to be one of the most despicable. This ranks right up. No, what do you mean ranks right up there? Does it top a woman who bailed her husband, or not her husband, her boyfriend? She hits the lotto and bails her career criminal boyfriend out of jail. Does it? Yeah, it ranks up there with that. What's wrong with us? What's wrong with us? I mean, If nothing else, I would have taken the money and based on the neighborhood, based on the violence, based on the fact that if a motherfucker telling you they gonna take your life too, I'd get out of the neighborhood, take the money and move and go somewhere, bury your son, give him a respectful funeral, and then just leave the neighborhood. But no, like any good hood rat that cannot exist outside of the hood, you're going to stay right there in the hood. And I guess she busted on herself. I guess that she posted on her Facebook that she took the money and bought a car with it. And the money was for her son's GoFundMe page, which means all of it should have went to her son's funeral. So also I found Tyshawn Lee, these RIP shirts that black people have just made famous worldwide. But you're selling Tyshawn Lee RIP t-shirts, $45, $25. I mean, how hood and ghetto and crass can you possibly be? What is this woman's logic? I guess the logic is, look, I can always get knocked up and make another child, but I can't always get a brand new car. So I guess I'll just go ahead and I'll get the car. The GoFundMe, I guess you can't sue and get the money back because I guess once you give the money up, that's it. There's no gimmies, there's no takebacks. Now, Miss Lee has since come out and denied using that money to purchase a car. She says she used her own money to put a down payment on the car, even though her earlier videos that she posted kind of contradict what she is now saying. She says roughly $13,000 of that money is still in the bank, and the dealer apparently is the dealer's responsible for posting the photograph. After she put the down payment on the vehicle, apparently they posted the vehicle to Facebook. Now these back and forth stories about who did what, nobody knows who did what. But what we do know is, I say, what is that, about roughly $4,000? If the $4,000 went to cover the cost of the funeral, then, hey, I guess you can say she did what she was supposed to do with the money and she pocketed the rest of it, So now we don't know if she's telling the truth or if the dealer is responsible or if she bought the car, didn't buy the car with her money. Now nobody knows what's going on. But what we do find particularly strange is that all this time that you've been, as you say, catching the bus to work and walking to work, that nobody, and all this time that your boyfriend has been associated with gangs, that all this time you've been living in this area that nobody has made an attempt on your life, but all of a sudden that you come into $17,000, all of a sudden you need a brand new 2015 automobile. So now we don't know what's going on. But once again, KTM and the Wake Up Report has a solution for this problem in the future. And that solution is this, that when you have accidents or incidents as tragic as this one, and people go to GoFundMe and Kickstarter and where it is that they go to get the money, well, this is what should happen. In the event that it's a child like this that has to be buried or someone has to be buried, any money that is collected goes directly to the funeral home. So let's just say before this stupid heifer went and spent this money on this car, that woman has to produce a receipt from the funeral parlor that details those funeral costs. And once the GoFundMe people get those costs, that money goes straight to the funeral home. The parent doesn't even touch the money. Once the child is buried, anything that's left over, then the mother can have. But she turned a heartfelt, sincere form of a sympathy for her child and turned that money into blood money. That's all it is. How can you even ride around in that car knowing that it was supposed to be used to bury your son? What can I say? Well, I'll say, Miss Lee, in the future, if you want to do something to protect yourself, how about you protect your vagina from gang members, so they don't run up in you, produce babies that eventually get shot because they can't stay out the light. This is KTM and the Wake Up Report saying think a little bit. It will do wonders for you.